Where's the Mustang, and why do you have a behemoth in the garage? So, some of you may know, some of you may not know, but here's a video introducing the F-150. This is my daily driver. You've seen it probably a couple times, either in transit or the oil change video or me changing the wheel hubs. But the relevance for why we bring this to the channel is this thing just hit 100,000 miles, and there's a few modifications that are about to happen to the truck that is going to make it cheaper than going back to OEM, but we may go ahead and put a little extra investment into it to get that little bit better performance out of it. And what better spot to display what's happening here is just on the channel. So yes, this is my daily driver, so it's not going to get as crazy. We're probably going to be a little conservative with it, but probably going to have a little bit of fun. May have a little bit of some off-road adventures with the truck, being that it is a four-wheel drive truck, and we could probably find some sort of trouble to get into. But there's a list of things that need to get done for the F-150 because its mileage and its age is showing. As you can see, this is a higher trim level. It is an F-150 Platinum. And if you didn't know, you could get an F-150 Platinum with the 5-liter Coyote. This is not a swap vehicle. Some people think the upper trim levels you can only get EcoBoost motors. That's true for the Limited. And of course, the Raptor of this generation, you can only get EcoBoost. But I have a Platinum, and it comes with a 5-liter, as you can see. Now, is there modifications to the car? At the moment, just the catch can. That's it. Also, it's leveled. It is a FX4 package, so it is a 4-wheel drive with all the goodies. It's got the tow package. It's got nice luxury options like the deployable running boards, nice leather interior. It's got the nice seats. These are, in fact, the massaging seats. They are cooled and heated. I've got the heated steering wheel. All sort of cool doodads on the truck. This next trick, we're gonna need the hood closed. Being that this is kind of up in age, there's a lot of aftermarket support. People have dived into modifying these trucks. So I do have a catch can that's kind of in line. Love it, works great. However, there's a few more changes, and we'll call them calibrations, that have been made to the truck, which all could be done through FORScan. It's not super invasive, but you can make changes to how the car is configured with a few things, such as if I hit the lock button, you can see the mirrors fold in. Well, that's the part of the Lincoln style closing mirrors. So when the truck is locked, it has the auto fold feature that just auto folds it whenever the vehicle is locked. And whenever you go to jump in, they will auto unfold as soon as the driver door opens and closes. There are a couple different other settings that you can do for, say, when the car is just unlocked, it just opens up. Or you can keep it manual, which is how the comes from the factory, where there's a button on the door panel that you just push it to fold or unfold. However, I liked it to be auto. Put on Bambi mode, which means my brights, when I turn my brights on, which I have the auto bright function, the fog lights don't turn off. They actually stay on, which is dubbed by the community as Bambi mode. So basically it gives you the most amount of light output from the front of the vehicle, which is super nice when you're driving through like dark wooded country roads and things like that, which I do find myself on quite often. I have the global window opening and close. So if you take the unlock button, tap it, and then hold it, the windows roll down. Windows are rolled down, and I want them to be rolled up. you can hit the lock button, hold the lock button, and they go right back up. If you're not familiar with the interior of the F150 Platinum or higher trim level, it has the nice gauge cluster with the large screen. Oh yeah, here's something else. So seeing the numbers above the gauges, that is another item that you can modify within the ForeScan software so that you can actually see the digital number output when you just see the little gauge of cool to hot and it's just a bar. So sometimes, you know, for some people who might overanalyze those numbers going up and down and doesn't understand them, that might not be probably the best thing that you get for your car. Because I can definitely see there'll be people who are overanalyzing and thinking, oh, it's 2 degrees too hot, or, you know, this, that, the other. If you don't understand the numbers, you probably shouldn't put that on. But I put it on. I like seeing the data. I like understanding the data. I do understand some thresholds. Maybe I should start backing off because transmission might get too hot or something like that. Because it comes useful. So like if you do off-roading in sand, you know, you could probably get the transmission pretty warm. And it's good to know. Same with towing. If you really stress and tow a lot, that might come in handy to, you know, maybe it might be time to take a break, especially with the 10R80 transmission, you know, with them being finicky. So, but other than that, yeah, it's a pretty nice truck. I have the 4-wheel drive auto option, being that it is the higher trim level. That's super convenient. I have nice climate control, which I think there's a few things that this trim level would have over the regular one. I do have the moonroof. So I've got the big roof, sunroof that can open up. It's not leaking, so I'm grateful for that. I do open it occasionally, which I've heard, and I do grease it. I heard that kind of helps with the longevity of it, but if we got to maintenance it, swap a gasket out, that might be, you know, something to come. Everybody and their mother probably has a maintenance plan of what they think is the proper intervals of maintaining the vehicle. So I'm not here to preach that you should do it this way or my way, but I will let you know the intervals of which I get my truck maintenance is every 5,000 miles, I get the oil changed. Clean the air filter, empty the catch can, rotate the tires, things like that, and that holds up pretty good, right? Because this is kind of like a daily vehicle that just drives to and from work. I don't trailer too often. I might trailer the Mustang to a track day that's way off. That might happen once a year. So at most, my truck might tow 7,000 pounds. Like at the most, it might be 7,000 pounds being towed once a year, if that. Because most of the time, if you're familiar, I try to drive that car to the track and drive it back home. So a lot of times we don't need to tow it. Then every 25,000 miles, I like to get a flush and fill on the transmission fluid. Every 50,000 miles, I will have both differentials serviced. Being that this is just getting to 100,000 miles, I've also done the pan, drop, and swap the filter on the transmission. I think you could probably go a little bit longer, but I figured if it's got 100,000 miles on it, you know, 100,000 miles might be not too bad of a time to swap out the filter. And if we hit 200,000 in the truck, guess what? It's going to get another filter. But we're going to definitely stay on those intervals for the foreseeable future to keep the truck and the fluids all fresh. Also with 100,000, I did brakes. The brake fluids all been interchanged. You should also do your coolant. Your coolant needs to be refreshed because what will end up happening is you'll have excess moisture that kind of gets into the system, and then you have more water than coolant, and that kind of stuff's only going to cause corrosion and more wear on the vehicle. Now, I hear what you're saying. That's an aluminum engine. Well, the corrosion part isn't exactly rust. It could just wear away the, it could just kind of wear away the seals and other components, rotating components in the pump and things like that. So just keep that in mind. So what kind of plans do I have for the truck? Because there are a few things that need to be addressed, need to be fixed on the truck. Well, one, I'm kind of waiting on an air intake, and I'm going to have a video as soon as it gets in covering the installation, the product, the company, and how I feel about cold air intakes. And we're going to install one on the F-150. I know that's probably the first thing that a lot of guys do for a modification for their truck. Well, guess what? We're going to be doing it for this one. As well as when the truck was getting serviced, it's starting to show wear on the suspension components. So the ball joints, they're getting a little loose. And if you have a ball joint that's getting loose, that means it's getting worn out and getting to the end of its life. So I think what we're going to end up doing was doing some cool suspension upgrades, like control arms, and the shocks. Were mentioned that the shocks are seeping fluids, are beginning to seep fluids, which means going to need some new shocks. Well, might just do maybe a Fox Shock 2.0 conversion or something to that nature. I don't know if I'm going to go to a full lift kit because I do need the truck to fit in the parking garage at work. So we got to be mindful of how crazy we get with suspension. And as well as being that the truck is leveled, the OEM upper control arms probably aren't at the best angles. So we might go ahead and upgrade to some control arms that are meant for a 2-inch leveling kit. And then all that's going to be kind of covered and there's coming up videos. Now, as far as appearances go, I'm pretty happy with it. But if we were to change anything, I would love to get some nice off-road, like Method wheels with some, real nice off-road tires to go with it. I'd love to get a tubular front and rear bumper. That would be pretty cool. However, tubular front bumper, in my opinion, doesn't look too good if you have stock suspension because a lot of the suspension component will be exposed, and having stock suspension is not that glamorous. Headlights, I'm pretty happy with these headlights. They look cool. They're great. They're the high trim level, excellent lighting. I think those will stay. The grille kind of goes with all the other accent trim, so that's going to be a hard one to kind of separate from. I don't need tow mirrors, okay? I can hear you guys clicking away on the keyboard. I don't need tow mirrors. I'm going to keep those tow mirrors. Oh, I do have a little aesthetic change right there, a little modification. It's got the little rubber shorty antenna for sure. Bed cover. I'd love to have a roll-up bed cover. That would be nice because when I do haul things, it would be nice that they're away from the weather, and not getting rained on, not getting wet. That would be great if it was tools, if it was luggage. So a lot of people, when they get an air intake, they also get kind of like exhaust, like a catback or something of that nature. I think if I'm going to get exhaust, which might be further down the road, we're not just getting a catback. I believe what we're going to end up doing, we're going to get some nice headers, full exhaust system from engine to tailpipe. It's just going to be a complete kit. One of the exhaust kits that I was eyeballing was Stainless Works, or maybe we can work to get some Ultimate headers or another aftermarket company that might be given, nice, good, high quality material, high quality kits and things like that. That's definitely not off the table. I'd be cool to get a little bit of rumble out of the truck. Probably not too much because I do want the truck to be comfortable and able to be driven for nice long distances without some sort of killer drone. So I'll be looking into that. That'll be something that's on the to-do list as well. So a lot of this seems to be kind of the common things, because everything I've mentioned probably isn't anything new. However, you're going to get my perspective, how it kind of works, everything works together, and then it's also going to be done in a way for a daily driver and function for daily use. It's pretty exciting to be able to modify just about any of the vehicles, but the one I get to spend the most of my time driving around, we're gonna get to personalize and modify it and get a little bit more further out of it. Oh, and tuning. Yeah, tuning is definitely something else that's probably going to happen as well. Now, hit the like down below. Comment if there's something I didn't mention, or perhaps a suggestion for what we should do with the F-150. And if it's your first time here, why don't you go ahead and hit the subscribe button and tune in for the next episode of the F-150.